We continue with the next speaker. And again, it will be most interesting. We heard a lot. You want to be found by the customers. And of course, we want to serve our customers in a sustainable way. But what is also important to survive in competition is you have to make your customers enthusiastic. And how do you do that? How can you explain your strength to your customer? Well, our next speaker knows this, and he has very practical hints for you. Mr. Oberländer, he is a business manager, and he's the head of YourWayUp, a trainer team for corporate development. I think it has everything included here. It's for sales development and marketing. Mr. Oberländer, the floor is yours. Well, I'd like to say thank you very much for the nice welcome and hello to all of you. And I also would like to say hello to all the people watching this on the screen. And we are in my company YourWayUp for companies. And my title is here, how can I become a retailer that is unique? And what do we do in order to be unique? How do I feel this myself? How can I convey this to my customers? I've got 30 minutes and I'd like to make good use of them. So let's look at the first point. Why being unique is so important for us. And we find 3 points. The first one is that at least subjectively, we think it's the comparability. Is now so easy to compare the prices with one click on the internet. You don't know whether the whole package behind it is the same, but you have to be fast. The world is accelerating, and therefore you must be able to challenge this comparability. The second thing is that there's less customer loyalty. But before it was that your mom started out and went to the shop around the corner, and then there is the neighbor and said, "Oh, your little one has grown up," and then they started small talk. Well, sometimes this is happening today, but the expectations of the customers are much, much higher nowadays. And the bad point about expectation is if they can't met 100%, especially now, then people are inclined to change. So we must position ourselves in order to promote customer loyalty and benefit of it. And then the third point, and I understood this when I come here, 10% inflation, energy prices are going up, so people have less spending money. If we have less budget, then you're more forced in order to go for the best deal. The best deal is not always the lowest figure. It could be great service, it could be a nice experience, everything that has to do with it. Changes in behavior of the target group. The colleague just said TikTok has shown. I was with my son in downtown Munich, and he wanted to buy sneakers. Or he had another word for it, I don't know. And he says, we'll have to find, where is this shop? And he said, just wait. And he's 12 years old, and said, I'll check it. And I thought he'll go to Google Maps or, no, TikTok. He opened, and then he showed a movie where the owner of a shop, where the shops cost between 300 and 700 euros, and he shows the way to his shop going down an escalator and so on, and we did that. And via a TikTok video, we were led to the shop. You might be surprised. This is a style where Y generation says we don't know this, but it is something that was very useful, and it had a positioning of young and dynamic and sexy, and it was just the right thing for this target group. And we must cater for these changes in the behavior of the different target groups. And the last point that I think is very decisive, and that already was true 20 years ago, and it still stands, how can I give my customer a good feeling? Is it the extra service? Is it my nice smile? One customer told me, I don't like internet, because internet can't smile. But it must come from inside and must be transported in the right way. And then you can create value added that the internet can never create. And for the others, it might be services, and for others, it might be something else. There are many ways of convincing people, and it depends on each individual. What does that mean? The customer value becomes even more important. We must ask ourselves, how can we convert or can we make existing customers loyal, more loyal? We're not talking about the small customer card, but we're talking about customer cards from the corporate perspective, 80% positive. But then somebody asked the customers, and they said 20% useful. So there's between 80 and 20%, you have 60%. So what is then the meaning of this? You have to see it from the customer's perspective. Service and additional performance. Now, I always thought that service must not be free of charge, but it must be something you can experience and must be an added value. Show good things, do good things, but talk about it, and create this perception that people understand it. And if you ask for higher prices, and many customers, many shops are now saying we have to adapt our prices, but very often it's just a higher amount. But like for a hairdresser, offering the same service for a higher price, it hurts. But if you combine this as a retailer with one of these points, you can really make it sell for more by creating added value. And that must be something people can experience, this added value. We're talking about experiences. We're talking about the staff that have to transport all of this. They must transport it. And I find that many people are left alone. Do you do the right training? Do you give them theoretical the possibility to meet these new demands? Do I offer training on the job so people have the opportunity to transport this type of selling? Executives are quite important in this process, especially in the middle management, because they're right between a rock and a hard place, from the top and from the bottom. And it's a big challenge to meet this. When we're talking about investment, of course, you don't know. You have a limit to the investment budget. And who is asking the question whether everything that's happening now is also optimum? We also look at an example, but let's first see how this can be implemented. Well, it's no big surprise. There is no magic wand to do this. But you do something individual, personalize, and you can see, does it concern me? Are we strong? Can we expand this? Or is that something where we have to start from scratch? Of course, there are processes that have already been tested in other industries. The question is, where is the benchmark? Silicon Valley is something. There are Apple, Google, and all the others. They say, well, we are at the top anyway, how to improve? So they developed a feedback method called the principle of radical frankness. Lots of power behind it. What does it mean, actually? I would say be soft on people but hard on in the topic. Try to be very respectful when saying that something's going wrong, because only if you are frank about things that go wrong, but you do this in an appreciating way. New Utopia, for instance, they did not. Nokia never made that change. Apple is now at the top. Well, although they were low down, Hewlett-Packard used to be the office machine company. Now they're somewhere medium range. Act seriously and plan a medium range. You have to coach your staff and you develop them. And there is somebody who's been with you 20 years, and when you talk about new things, they just lean back. No. Well, you can talk about it. It's not the first thing I hear the last 20 years. And somebody like that might say, well, very interesting to hear what is up now again. They understand very fast whether something has substance or not, or whether that is again some lip service that somebody's just doing something to go through the motions. Talking about medium and long-term planning, I just heard that the Communist Party in China has a 50-year plan. 20 years ago, they thought about what the world should look like in 50 years. And they start taking the right steps. But you have to think, do you know what your situation is now, what it will be in 2 months, or maybe in a year, or in 4 years? The requirements of the future in 2 years are the things they have to tackle now in order to be up to date then. And so you might think about what this might be. Everybody must win for a plan to work. And there are the customers, the retailers, and the staff members, the sales personnel. And only if everybody is profiting, if benefiting, then an added value will be created, and it is success. And that brings us to corporate philosophy. What do we stand for as a company? And it doesn't matter whether it's a one-man, one-woman shop or if there are many employees. What's your message, and why do you do what you do? And how this become an experience internally for your staff and externally for the customers? We once had a manager, and he was there, and he said, our vision, our mission. And he says, great, what you put on this poster. So what do you mean about, what does that mean? What do you do about it? I don't know. I don't say that. He was there 2 years, but he couldn't give these answers. But he was not there for a long time because there was no substance behind it, you know. People say something like the staff is our most important capital. Well, do you have special rules where something is happening? Do you have remuneration systems that promote performance? Do I consider the different job descriptions? We used to have a retailer who had 2 staff members. One was in the back office, one was in the shop, you know. And you can't do fancy things with such 2 people and distinguishing. And it also needs to be done when it hurts. And you should ask yourself whether you do things that sometimes might hurt. And then 2 points that are meant well, but usually not done well. If you have defined a philosophy and you want to progress with this, and you have an expectation, how can we make this philosophy a fact and an experience for our staff and then for our customers? How do we enable people You must have the will, then you must be able to, and then you must be allowed to. So you have to know what is behind this. How can I transport this? And only once I know something, I need the skills. I have to learn, and you have to train your staff in this way. And then you can ask again the question, I love this world, everything is great, everybody in the staff really is mouthing the same to me as me, but does it really get transport to the customers? What are the quality criteria? My impression often is that many people are focusing on KPIs, of course. Parts per customer, everything that helps you to measure quantity, but then quality is lost out. Will my staff, will my shop be qualified in such a way that I always get the emotional input for the customer right? As I said, KPIs are an important factor, but it shouldn't be only such facts. We're talking about the USP. That was important in the 80s. You need a USP, a unique selling proposition, the unique customer benefit. No, that they change it in UAP. The unique advertising proposition. Well, if we have no real benefit, then you should communicate a benefit. And this has become more difficult also. About 3 or 4 years ago, I talked to the Adidas head salesman. I don't know why he talked to us, and he says, well, we offer special editions every year, and we know that the demand will be several thousand, and we maximum sell 10%. No, we offer only 10%, and we create a shortage artificially because everybody wants it. The customer wants to have it, but you can't get it. It's sold out. And then we can ask for prices that have absolutely nothing to do with reality. And because of these high prices, that this is always sold out, and our brand image is improving. And this is a very good strategy to create a demand that wouldn't exist. Then a benchmark maybe that you can use is something like this, a benchmark from another industry. Next question, what do our customers expect? And that's perception. How do we perceive our customers? But also, how do our customers perceive us? And there is the whole wide range from top to bottom. How do you appearance? And there's some that are modern and they don't wear shirts but T-shirts. And then there are this placement of the products and cleanliness in the shop. We once had a retailer, we thought, oh, some of the things look very old. And what do you say about your shop? He says, nice, okay. Maybe 2 or 3. Well, some things always are wrong. And I gave him some post-its, said, now you move through your shop, and everywhere we say, well, that's not that beautiful, or okay, then stick a post-it there. This guy really had insight. And 25 minutes later he came, do you have a second post-it block? I have 3 more. And he really passed around. And you can imagine at the end this was a yellow paradise, yellow post-its everywhere. He said, well, I never understood it. I'm inside here every day, and I don't see this anymore. Selective perception. Then so 2,000 advertisements you see every day, and just imagine how many you do. You remember in the evening? No, you have to do a reset, a radical reset. And for this, you need a kind of interference from the outside that asks the question, and after the first reply also insists and puts it all into question. Then, if you keep it simple and short, KISS, or keep it simple and stupid, this is very true. MediaMarkt, you might like their communication not, but everybody knows well they sell things cheaper but the same quality, and they are still around, and they always do this. So generate benefit. How do you react in a difficult situation? Complaints. Well, I don't see an impossible situation, but well, I coached a retailer from in an electro shop, and the 75-year-old customer came in, and he said he couldn't handle this thing, and he wants to return it. And you can now say, well, you bought it, so you keep it. We don't have a return right. And the second possibility is to return the money, and he used it already, and he unwrapped it, and then the retailer said, well, okay, I'll handle it. He said, why doesn't it work? Well, I'll offer you something. Do you have Wednesday at 6? Top. Then come by here, and we've got a course with you. Have not the only one who have a problem with this, and this already relieved the customer. And he said he was offered courses, and had also a maintenance contract. So he said that people, not only old people, could learn about this equipment. He had several effects. This customer was totally happy. He says, well, these people help you. That's the best shop. Second effect, he has a recommendation rate that is gigantic, because everybody talked at the pub, well, I didn't know what to do, but I learned it there. And this was a really great idea. And again, here you see, how do we enable customers to actively influence the customer perception? I can tell you from the bottom of my heart. If I hear the first 8 question as the first address, I didn't ask, can I help you, but how can I help you? See, that is the result from many hundreds hours of training. It's already a cliché. We also experienced this. We were there as a family. There come a young man, 20 years old, very modern, and he says, hello, you want to have this one? You want this one? We looked at it, we were not clear, were impossible. But my partner then immediately, yeah, but what about the soul? We never had a conversation about product quality as fast as that. It's very easy. You just have to go about and do it. Control and leadership. The recruiting is the most important point in retail. So you have to create an environment that advertises the company. Strategies in the different hierarchies. Do I have remuneration and working hour models that are in line with the zeitgeist? And one customer told me, well, in order to pay them more money, they have to sell more. Well, think about what comes first. Well, here the customer journey is the next point. Do we have a customer journey? Is it up to date? Is it really implemented? Is it understandable? Is it effective? Does it make sense? All of these are the areas that are important in development of staff. Also, avoiding things just as having a high workload and no time and incapacity. And you can do a lot about it. I'll show you here the last image, will and skill and being allowed to. If you make this in the right way and get the balance, then your staff member will probably be able to handle his or her job. Thank you very much, Mr. Oberländer. For you as well, we would like to say if you have questions, you can ask him over there. Because, sorry, I didn't see that right. We have a few more minutes. I looked at the audience, some nodded, some were smiling, and you might have recognized some of the situations that were described from their daily lives. Are you a retailer? Do you have a car shop? Let me come over. You just heard what one should do. Is there a specific question about implementation? I had to smile with the post-its. Because, you see, when I come to the shop after my vacation, I see these things, because you don't see it when you're in there every day. You have to get some distance and start again. So it was a very good idea with the post-its and see where are the things that are not perfect. Yeah. So that is a good idea to say, go on vacation for a few days, get some distance, and then you have a new perspective again and look at your own company again. I can imagine sometimes you're really blindfolded. Now I asked the two people here, what you do. I have a shop that I passed on to my son right now. We noted we do some things right from the gut feeling. We don't know why, but we do it. And it was good to see this confirmed. And we understood a lot and lots of ideas. I think it is great that small retailers like us benefit from such wisdom. When did you hand over the shop? At the beginning of the year, and very, very new. What's your feeling? I like it that we have the experience in the background, but at the same time, we want to address a younger target group. Yeah, that's of course a normal thing. Do you sometimes have arguments, or does it work? She accepts very well what I want. Well, it's a give and take, actually. He is also still at university for economic engineering, and he has theory and practice at the same time. It works. Well, that's the way we want it to be. Mr. Oberländer, from your practical experience, can you tell us, in your companies, the customers you coached, was there also a conflict of generation? That is a permanent feature. Because normally the older generation, of course you're not part of this, cannot let go, and the young new generation has a push, and the success of the company is if they can combine this and they manage this challenge and then have solutions that can consider both. So from what you have done, you have best opportunities to be even more successful. First thing is you have to be honest with yourself, and I'm glad that it works for you. Thank you very much. So the very best from both worlds has to be combined, and it works very well for you. And for further questions, you'll be there at the entrance. Maybe you can optimize some things, improve. So now seize this opportunity.